So welcome to our very first podcast, and this will be going up on YouTube as well as wherever we end up throwing it on.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, wherever podcasts come from.
Yeah.
It's the land of potty people.
Oh my God.
I stuck it in. So with this being our first, Becca's got no idea what we're doing. The first thing, we are going to restrict ourselves. So I've decided every single podcast is going to go for 55 minutes.
Very precise.
Start. Well, could have been 54, but I picked 55.
Okay.
So when the alarm clock goes off, I should really turn off my phone for ringing. Silent and load, the alarm will still go off, won't it?
I don't know. It depends on your settings.
We'll see later. So what we're going to do in these podcasts is bits of everything. So it's just going to be us talking about what's happened in the week or what's come up during the week or what thought I've had or what thoughts you've had, if any.
There's not many of those.
Well, if you might have had one thought. So.
I might have.
You might have.
I might have.
So in the way, we will be talking a bit about photography and Bec might be talking a bit about modelling.
Yeah, I can do that.
You can do that?
I can do that.
We won't be doing any wine tastings.
Why not? I'm doing that right now.
It's very hard to taste wine over. How are you going to explain wines over?
I can explain the tannins.
The tannins. What is a tannin?
It's the skin of the grape.
The skin of the grape.
Yeah, see, I know things. I pay attention on winery tours.
On winery tours. That's what, except everyone else spits out, you don't, you swallow.
I am the spit bucket.
You am the spit bucket. I think people might be getting the direction where this is going to go. But yeah, pretty much my whole aim was I listened to quite a few podcasts myself. I listen to stuff which makes you feel good, makes you clear your mind, as well as stuff that might help business. I think it's more about keeping our minds fresh and happy and good and living with this world.
Fun to sit down and have a chit chat and talk about stuff, and who knows if we get derailed or not. It's just, I guess, us.
We'll get derailed.
But that's what I mean. I guess this is just like unfiltered Bec and Peter, and we got a lot of feedback from the live streams that we were doing that people just enjoyed listening to us talk. So I guess that was kind of how this whole idea was created, because people enjoyed that. So yeah,
and the live streams, it became half the world wasn't live when we were live, and it was like we'd post we're going to do this time, and America would say we're all asleep, and then we'd post to suit Europe, and Americans would say we're asleep.
No, then it was the other way around.
Well, everyone complained.
And then we also were getting asked like the same questions and stuff.
Yeah, same questions. We're hoping that we'd get fresh questions, and I'm happy answering, but you only answer why don't you shoot Fuji so many times, and that gets too much. So we thought it was better for us to put out content, but I do suggest you're welcome. I do look at everything that's asked on our YouTube channel, as well as any of the people ask me questions on anything. Send us emails, ask us through our Inspire webpage or any of our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter accounts. Things that people ask, if I think this is really cool, we'll definitely cover stuff about it, as long as it's not why don't you shoot Fuji cameras or why don't you use Capture One.
Or can you do a tutorial using film?
Yeah, I can, but it'd be really boring. Because it's a camera. I have captures thing. I have film cameras up behind me, but most of them got flat batteries.
So. Well, I can't see if they're listening anyways. So
no help at all.
No. Well, anyways.
Yeah. So for the start of the week, we were trying to do this yesterday. We couldn't because we're not really soundproofed in here, and we've only just started setting. This is my old office. It used to get used by everybody for every other reason because I don't like offices. But we're setting this up slowly. We haven't got it soundproofed properly. We have got a heater in here now.
Thank gosh, because it's so cold.
And we'll get some background stuff better happening rather than air conditioned flues going out through the roof.
You can't see that. I've set up the camera so you can't.
All right, but we'll get it set up in time, so it might be better.
This is just our first.
Anyway, this is not so much about the video anyway, it's about the podcast. So it's just that anybody, it allows us to put it onto YouTube because their podcasts seem to go well, and it allows people who have YouTube, lots of people listen to YouTube who don't do podcasts. Yes. Cool. So my very thing, I was going to actually start by our week.
Yes.
So what's happened in your week?
I'm sick, but I don't have COVID. I went through.
You sure?
Yes, I've done 3 tests and managed to go 7 whole weeks in Europe without getting sick once. And I come back to Melbourne and I instantly get sick. So I was sick. I didn't do anything. I didn't leave the house. I didn't even get changed all weekend. That's really bad. But I stayed at home and I cooked. And then...
Oh, that's why you've had something for lunch every day. You actually had food in the fridge.
I couldn't leave the house because I was waiting for my test results. So I did a bunch of cooking. And then what have we done? We've been in the studio all week because we can't go to your house because your wife has COVID.
Well, I was going to do that in my talk, but
sorry.
That's right. Cross over onto my side.
So we've just been here and we've been doing some general maintenance, cleaning up, setting up this room to do podcasts. We did a shoot today with Evelyn.
That's cool, yeah.
It was fun. Always nice to see her. I've been doing a heap of legwork for our upcoming American workshops. So I learned from the Europe workshops that I can't leave things to the last minute, especially when it comes to accommodation. And we also shouldn't be using Airbnbs when it comes to accommodation. So I've been doing a lot of research on areas to stay in, finding accommodation, talking to studios, getting quotes, and just starting to lock everything in. Even though we've still got 2 months to go, I think it's better if we've got all of that locked in sooner rather than later. So I can let people know so other people can plan. So that's been my week of basically just doing a lot of research on accommodation and studios and lots of emails back and forth.
And anybody who's not aware, it's the 14th of July. So we have got some workshops coming up in America in
September. The LA one is from the 9th of September to the 11th of September. Austin is the week after. Chicago is the week after that. And New York is the week after that.
But we'll put a link in our descriptions area so you can check that out. But if you're listening to this after September, you'll have to wait till next year.
Yeah, but
if in America.
Also, just if you are interested in workshops, do keep an eye out because we do run them all over the world. We do Europe once a year, America once a year.
Australia pretty much once. Melbourne twice a year, but the rest of Australia only. Sydney, Brisbane.
Yeah, but if you are listening to this and you are interested, I do feel like I need to stress that it is teaching. So it is Peter teaching lighting, whether it's natural light or studio lighting, and they're not portfolio building workshops, these ones. But we do have Melbourne. Like we do that in Melbourne. We don't do that overseas.
No. So too hard.
It is way too. It's tricky. Anyway, that's enough for me talking about work. It seems to be my life. I remember during lockdown, I was like, I wish workshops were happening. I don't know why I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs, and now they're back. I'm run off my feet.
I wish COVID would come back.
No, I don't. I like being busy. It's good. But anyways, that's been my week basically.
Well, my week started on last Friday. So last Friday, went up to this amazing artist, a place in Daylesford, which is about a 2-hour drive from where I am. And David Bromley's his name. And we went up there to do a photo shoot and just hang with him. And we had pizzas for lunch, and it was a really nice, the potato and truffle was a bit average, so I was looking for something to step up, and there was a nice salami and olive one, so I grabbed that. Second bite in, they didn't remove the pips out of the olives. Crack, half the tooth fell out.
So bad. I could hear it because I was sitting next to you and I heard this crunch. I was like, that's not good.
No, it's not good. And then, I think on the way up there, my wife had rung from work saying she was having trouble breathing and she needed to get taken home because she couldn't drive. She was dizzy, and she does suffer from an allergic asthma, which just can come up for no reason at all. So then communicating with my daughter to go and pick her up and that, and then a bit later on she's admitted into hospital. She can't breathe. Everything was down. Then she got doctor reports saying, everything was going wrong. Halfway through, up at Dalesford, I've cracked my tooth up and that. She rings back and says, well, they can't transfer me to another hospital, so I've just tested COVID positive.
Far out.
So I come home, my wife's been banned to
The bedroom.
two rooms of the house, the bedroom and the toilet, which means I have to cook and do all the rest, but I love cooking. And I don't think she even knows I've been to the dentist. But I went to the dentist Monday. I was really lucky to get in, and they said, yeah, there's not much we can do. You split the tooth right down the centre, so we're going to have to take it out. And I said, yeah, all right. An hour and a bit later, they drilled, they smashed with chisels and hammers. They said, your teeth really don't like coming out.
Yuck.
But anyway, they got it out and 6 stitches later and told me I'm going to be in really bad pain for a week. But I took one pain tablet on the Monday night and
You're fine.
fine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ugh, that stuff makes me so... It's God. I don't know. I'm really... Because I've got such bad teeth, which I hear about all the time. But,
People love telling you that.
but also, like, I'm prone to cavities, so I just get really, like, squeamish about the dentist. So that stuff's gross to me.
Well, see, I don't have a cavity. I've got one little cap that I chipped a tooth when I was young, and that's all I've got.
I feel like I've had a cavity in, like, every single... And I've had root canal before. Like, I just have really bad luck with my teeth. I want to get veneers.
Veneers. Yeah, we've got veneer cupboards at home.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, that's our week. I think every podcast we might cover a little bit of anything our week.
Trying to think of anything. I don't think I've had any funny thing. I've just been sick.
Just sick. What's pretty normal.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, great sentence, Bec.
Great sentence. Anyway, so some of the things I was going to talk about was more you can start with today's my shoot today. You sat and listened to me, or did you listen to me at all? You couldn't hear me over the music.
Yeah, I couldn't really hear you because you had the music up pretty loud, which, I mean, I guess you do from time to time, but also because the music was pretty loud and I was buried away, which I tend to do sometimes when Peter's doing a shoot because the more eyes that are on the model, sometimes we find it throws them off a little bit. So sometimes I do tend to just bury myself away because it...
Yeah, we don't want eyes. We want the model to just feel like, well, there's no eyes because I'm buried behind a camera.
So it just allows the model to be a lot more free and feel a lot more confident. So I was buried away and I was concentrating doing all of like my looking at accommodation. I got the studios locked in. I was now looking at accommodation. So I just zoned out and was reading that. But every now and then I overhear a few things. But that's just kind of, that happens sometimes. Sometimes I'm a little bit more involved in the shoot, but sometimes I do just do that. And today was one of those days.
Oh, and today we said we weren't going to record it, and it was more a training. It was someone that I think will do well, but I need to spend a bit of time resetting
her brain.
Her brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting her to believe in herself a lot more because she's so beautiful inside and out, but she just needs to believe it herself. So just bringing that confidence out of her, I think, is your...
Yeah, and I think she's most likely being put down by someone or by a few people in her life.
Or by herself.
And by herself. So there's a fair bit of negative about herself. Yeah. And it's really hard to get in front of, especially my camera, and if you're not feeling amazing, my camera sees it. Well, I see it. Yeah. And tell them.
And then it's also, if you're not feeling, because you shoot tethered as well, it's harder. They see it, and so they're not feeling comfortable. You take a photo, they look at the computer and they see it come up instantly, and then they're like, oh no, now I feel even worse because I look like that. So that can be kind of hard. That,
and then, she's picked out some reference pictures to the feel that she wanted to do, and most models forget these are fully retouched pictures with hair and makeup team and all of the whole kit and caboodle. And this girl's come in and done her own hair and makeup, which I prefer anyway, because then we know the models are happy with it and they're not dead tired after sitting in a chair for 3 hours. But yeah, there's a complete different level than, if Adrienne Lima comes in for a photo shoot, she walks in saying, I am the shit. Mm-hmm. Whereas if someone like Evelyn walks in, she's driven an hour in her car to a little studio on a freezing cold day. Yeah. There's a big difference about the feel they have as they walk into a studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main thing with today that really pointed out strong towards the end of the day I did a little bit of video work and with her more just videoing her moving, and she could see straight away, well, I pointed out to her and she could see it straight away that she would start to drift one way, then she'd just stop and drift the other way, which meant that wasn't a natural movement. So if you were drifting this way, why would you all of a sudden stop and go the other way? Which meant the whole time that she thought she was being natural, she was posing.
Yeah.
So once you are posing, then it gets really, really hard to unpose.
Totally. What?
Oh, I just realised I can hear my headphones. I should turn them down.
Well, maybe turn that off.
I'll just turn them down, then I can't hear them anymore.
Okay.
That most likely is been. So if it doesn't delayed echo, that was just stupid us on our very first podcast. We've got lots of learning to do, but we're never going to try and be like a Joe Rogan or that, because that's not our interest.
No,
it's just us ranting for 55 minutes.
No.
But
even with the posing thing, it's funny because we did a shoot on...
last week,
yeah. And I don't know, I just wasn't on my A game, but I could feel myself posing, but then I couldn't shake it for some reason. Normally I can kind of shake it and just turn into a drip, but for some reason I couldn't, and I don't know why, but I could feel it happening. And because I listen to you day in, day out, and I hear you on workshops all the time, I hear you training models, I feel like I could become a little mini Peter, maybe not, but you know what I mean.
Could be a bit of work on your stomach, a little bit of time to go on that.
But you know what I mean? I know all your tricks, I know all your sayings and stuff, so it's really hard because I can feel it happening and I know it's happening, but then sometimes I know the tricks to get out of it, and then sometimes they don't even work because I know it too much. And I guess we go through that with you shooting me, because I know the tricks, so you've constantly got to come up with something different for me. And sometimes it just don't work.
I think it's a little bit. I'm always trying to learn and teach myself new things to try and make it easier on the model to understand what they need to feel to look good. So while we were traveling in Europe, I actually found 2 little tricks that worked great, and I can do it with the model, and then they get that feeling, and then I say, right, that's what feeling good feels like, and then every single muscle on your face went really pretty as soon as you felt like that. Very hard for me to show you over the podcast, and I'm no model, but it's just I forever evolve on the type of what I do, especially with Bec. I can't, if I've used something once, I can't use it again. I got to find something new.
Yeah, but I'm just a pain in the butt.
Yeah. But it's still because you get to hear everything. I only can work with newish stuff with you.
That's why I'm a pain in the butt, because I hear everything and I know all of the tricks. And it's funny, I'll see you do a shoot with a model and you'll try something new and it'll really work. You'll come up with a new thing and you see it work so well. So then I see the next 5 different models that come in, you use the same trick and it works every time. But I've seen and heard that, because then you try it with me and it just doesn't work. So I'm I know what you're doing. I know exactly where this is going, and I'm a stubborn Capricorn, so it's not going to work with me.
I'm a 2-faced Gemini, so I'll keep trying.
But I find the posing thing it's tricky, because I think that's the one thing I do see the most with models is everyone has this kind of idea in their head. It's a photo shoot. I've got to do pose, click, pose, click, pose, click. Whereas if you watch videos of the high-end models, that's not how they model. But everyone gets this preconceived idea. It's no different to a model we shot with the other week, and we were organising, and she was like, "Oh, I'll see if I can get a hair and makeup artist." Yeah. Because I think she had that preconceived idea. It's a photo shoot. I need a hair and makeup artist. People have these preconceived ideas, and when you walk into your studio, all of that goes out the window. Yeah,
because actually I want to capture the person for who they are, and I want to capture those special moments that nobody ever gets to see.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't normally do that expression with a camera stuck in their face.
Exactly.
So I have to, as soon as they get into opposing brain thought, the whole face changes to opposing face, which is not their normal face. Right. It's like a mirror face. It's a face they pull when they're in this situation, which doesn't normally look that good. and is not really, there's nothing that's emotive about it, or nothing that says, oh, what's she thinking?
One of my favorite things with that is when it's normally like when you're first training a model, like when we're shooting with someone for the first time normally, and they start posing and they'll put their hands like all over their face, and then you just kind of put the camera down and you go, okay, so is that how you'd walk down the street? And you see them get so embarrassed because they realise, oh, that does look really stupid, doesn't it?
And there's a lot of pictures where you'll see like the big models with their hand flicking through their hair and that, but they don't hold it there. It's a continual movement, and it's just the frame the photographer got. It's not the pose that was, because a lot of times, unless you've got a client that has a watch and they need the watch on the wrist at this position, a lot of times the more high-end type clients are trying to get that beautiful emotive look, and you can't freeze an emotive look. Because as soon as you freeze them, the emotion just drops out and it's just dead. Yeah. It's like a mannequin face.
Yeah, and I find if I do get photographers telling me, because you obviously don't tell me how to pose, you just let me go natural and just do what I do, but I found when I was stepping in on workshops in Europe to model, a lot of the photographers were asking me to do specific things and they'd take a few photos, but I then felt, how long do I have to hold this for? Like, have they got the shot? They'd be like, oh, can you just put your hand on your cheek? And I'd be like, okay. And they'd take some photos, but then I was like, do I keep it here? Like, and I just kind of stand like there for 5 minutes with my hand on my cheek and can I move? Like, and then I get this confused look on my face. So
when you put your hand on your cheek, what were you thinking?
They want me to put my hand on my cheek. There's no thought about it. It's just like
while you're standing there like that, what are you actually thinking? Take the photo or
like I can hear the camera clicking, but I'm like, this feels a bit odd.
So that's the look that they're going to get in the photo. Like, this is Bec's a bit odd face.
Which is not that attractive, by the way. But you know, like, and then I just like hold it and then can I move it? Are you happy? Like, whereas if you just let me do my thing, and then if I do something, like, even like I often play with my hair. So if I go to run my hands through my hair, oh, that's really great. I love when you're like, okay, cool. Let me do that motion a few times and you can take as many photos, but don't just tell me to like put my hand in my hair.
And stop.
It's going to stand like that and it's going to look weird. Yeah. Anyways.
And quite often have the thing like the hand you know, on near the ear, on the phone, headache if it's on top of the head, if it's under the chin, toothache, and
if it's on the
belly ache. So, yeah.
Oh, no, my favourite's the arm above the head and the smelly armpit.
Oh, smelling the armpit. I think my favourite's the barrel of monkeys. The two hooks.
Leave me alone.
Bec does the barrel of monkeys really well. Yeah. Anyone in podcast world didn't see that, but if you've seen the game Barrel of Monkey, the teapot, yes.
Too funny. No, posing's a hard one. I don't know. I feel like there are people like Coco Rocha who is amazing at doing that kind of stuff, but it's different. That's different,
but if you still look in the eyes, there's still nothing there. Like, everything's nice. The face, no matter what she's doing, is beautiful and relaxed. And sorry about the bang. Everything's relaxed and nice, but there's not an emotion. You won't say, she's they're going, oh, who are you? Or, I don't like you. It's just this nice, neutral face, and she'll do crazy arm movements. She can do lots of facial expressions, but you'll find the eyes, except for the odd ones, pretty much stay the same. But there's a few models I work with, and Natasha was one of them, who we could limit her to a very small movement, so just to within maybe 50 millimeters each way, with her head just turning very slightly, but then she would move inside her head a lot. So instead of moving physically, she moved mentally a lot.
Totally. Yes. Tasha was very good at that.
She was extremely good at that.
She's looking at us right now. Not that you guys can see, but we do have two giant photos of Natasha in this room. She's staring at us.
But with today's shoot, the main thing I saw was the model didn't like herself. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the problems. She's come in thinking that she's not worthy, or she's not she wants to create something but doesn't think she's good enough, and the pictures she picked to replicate the sort of feeling of it was sort of like a completely different level. And she then look at the pictures and go, oh, yeah, look, I'm not looking at, I'm looking a bit old, this is it, all these other things.
Sorry. Diseases.
Oh, diseases.
Sorry.
So you just give me COVID?
No, I don't have COVID.
You sure?
Yes. No, it's such a shame because she is so beautiful inside and out. And I see that with so many models, though. I just see them doubting themselves. And it's hard to push confidence into someone.
Yeah, what I see is it's nearly like when she gets in front of the camera, it's like someone's put this box full of flies around her and all she's trying to do is swat the flies out of the way, like all her bad thoughts and that. Mm. But because they're in the box with her, they can never get away, where she really needs to take the box off and still see the flies, but they're not on her anymore. She just goes, oh, these are the flies, but I'm going to put the flies there. Mm. They're still in, but I'm going to just remove them off me so they're not bothering me at the moment.
It's a really good metaphor.
Good metaphor?
I like that one.
You like that one?
I haven't heard that one before.
No, it's a new one.
I like it.
Yeah, I keep it to myself. I didn't use it on her today, but I was working on other things. But it's that whole thing of you can't completely remove all your problems, but you can set the problems separate to you. You can look at them away from yourself, but you don't have to swat them anymore.
Totally.
But they're still there, but you've separated them so you can just look at, yeah, they're my hang-ups, but I'll just put them there in a minute and I'll try and work here.
Mm. My biggest one that I use, it was a quote I read years ago. Every time I start feeling a bit down about myself, I just try and remind myself, and it was, you are so used to your features that you don't know how beautiful you are to a stranger. And I try and remind myself of that because I'm so used to them. So every time I look in the mirror, I've seen myself for 29 years. I'm used to my features. Whereas there might be someone in the world who's never seen me before. They're not going to have studied my face as much as I have. So they're going to just look and be like, wow, she is so beautiful. And they're not going to see anything that I do. So I've got to remind myself of that. And that's one thing I use to, if I start feeling down, if I start being like, oh, I don't like the way that, I don't have a crease in my nose anymore, but like, I would be like, well,
I can
other
put
people,
it in Photoshop.
No, please don't. I spent a lot of money getting rid of that. But things like that, it's like, well, other people aren't going to notice that, and other people aren't going to look at my lack of forehead, and other people aren't going to be looking at my hairline or the way that...
Well, how many models you heard say have a big forehead? And everyone has a hang-up.
I know, this is what I mean. Like, everyone's got them, so, but you don't know how beautiful you are to someone who's never seen you before. So that's what I try and tell myself. So I like to remind other people of that quote because it helps me.
Yeah, no, but that's that thing that sometimes even discussing something takes away half the anxiety about it because you've shared it with somebody else.
Yeah.
It's actually still really there, but you've now actually made it, again, it's removed it off you.
Yeah.
By talking about it, you've actually taken it out of the box off you.
Yeah.
And that then frees you up to be able to live with it rather than live with it.
Yeah, no, and that helps. Like, as someone who does struggle with anxieties, I find that a lot. Like, when something's worrying me, I mean, like, I speak to you a lot because even though we work together, you're still a good friend of mine, and sometimes I'll be really pent up about something, and even just using you as a sounding board, the second I've voiced it, I'm like, oh, I feel better now.
Which meant the actual anxiety wasn't that bad in the first place. We saw if just by venting it means you've taken half of it away.
It's just like, I don't know, just bottling it up makes you feel worse. But like, it's still there, but it's like, oh, it's out in the open now. Like, I feel better. And I do the same with Jared as well. Like, I'm like, I just use my sounding boards and get stuff. It really helps.
That's like if we get too many emails, you get all anxious about it.
I know, I don't.
But getting anxious doesn't get rid of the emails.
No.
Whereas if you just go, oh, well, I just get rid of them and they're not there anymore. I don't need to get anxious. They're not going to kill you.
It's like the bass. I get all anxious about doing accounting. And then I'm like, I remember when we were in London and I was like, I'm going to feel so good once this is done. And I did it and I felt amazing.
There you go.
And then what did we? I think then we went out and had some really nice food.
That's not when I got food poisoning.
No, it was because we were in the nice hotel. We went at the bloody shithole commission flats.
Yes.
Anyway.
Airbnb, you cancelled.
So cancelled. God, we get derailed. So yeah, welcome to how derailed we get.
We get so derailed.
This started off about posing, turned into anxiety. We've ended up at Airbnb.
Well, that's a normal day, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Conversations with Peter. BP and PC.
So why are you checking your phone?
Because I have notifications.
Oh.
I want to know who it is.
So you're important.
No, I was just checking who.
You're just checking.
I was just checking who's making me feel important. Sorry. I'm famous.
So I promise as we go, we'll get better sound and better acoustics in here, and the video's really not. The video's there for people who want to do it through YouTube because you have to have the video for YouTube, but we're not really going to edit any of it. So when we get some hoon that's going to the gym that doesn't have an exhaust pipe on the car go through, I don't think we can kill that. And our next door neighbour likes, or it's a timber place, and every now and then to turn on big, loud machines. I'm just going to have to put up with that. It's more listening to rave and listening to our environment that we're in.
Listening to us talking and ranting, and we're pretty good at this.
Pretty good at this.
This is why we have to limit it to 55 minutes. Because
we could talk all day.
We do. The amount of times Peter and I will be travelling, I'll be like, I'm just going to have one more wine and go to bed. I'll check the time, it'll be like 10:30. I'm like, cool, one more wine and go to bed. Next minute I look at the clock and it's 2 a.m. I'm like, when did that happen?
And then she sleeps until lunchtime.
No, I don't.
No, 1 minute too. Oh, you don't have lunch, so it's not lunchtime.
So rude.
So rude.
I sleep until drinking time.
So lucky you don't live in, although we should move to Maurice.
Yes, that was...
Yes, because their drinking time starts with 2 digits.
Yeah. No, that's dangerous. That's so dangerous. I'm going to stick to my rules. It's acceptable after PM.
After PM.
It's acceptable.
Acceptable.
But like it's frowned upon, and not really frowned, but like 3 PM is my normal drinking time. That makes me sound like a full-blown functioning alcoholic.
No, quite often in the afternoons, most of our shoots are wrapped up by then. It's our chill reset.
Have a chat about the day.
And talk about the diary and what we got on the next day.
Yeah.
And quite often we'll have a wine and have a chat while we're packing down and things like that.
Oh yeah, we should go. Yeah, we should go back to our week and stuff. We'll jump back to that's normally what we do. Or if we're working from the office at 3 PM, I put on tipping point. But that's normally what we do. Is we have normally wrapped up by 3. Sit there, have a drink, talk about stuff, anything important that's popped up or that I needed to question you about.
Which is everything.
No, not everything. I'm getting better. I'm using my authority a little bit more.
Good.
I think.
You think?
I still doubt myself a little bit.
A lot.
I'll get better.
No.
I will.
Well, I want you to.
I hope I do. Anyway, that's what we do. We have a drink and we have a chat, and then we talk about the next day, make our plan about how we're going to tackle the next day, and discuss what each of us are cooking for dinner that night.
It sounds like food and wine is all we talk about.
It is like a big part of our lives.
It is a bit.
It's good though.
So what are you having for dinner tonight?
I'm having roasted veggies with couscous and like beef strips, like stir-fried beef strips, and I'll marinate that in some garlic and some herbs, some salt and pepper, and roast some veggies with probably similar stuff. I'll make some couscous and then toast some flaked almonds and then assemble it all in a bowl and put some pesto and feta cheese in the toasted almonds. Healthy. I need my veggies because I'm sick. What are you doing for dinner?
Pizza.
Yum.
And I'll put some olives on there with pips in them.
Don't. You can't lose any more to eat.
Yeah, homemade pizza, not bought pizza.
So
Can't
jealous.
do pork pizzas anymore.
Those
Those
pizzas are so good. I feel like everyone should be jealous. Peter's like found it was over COVID. I feel like you really found your love for cooking, and you've always loved cooking, but over COVID, Peter really honed in on cooking, and he's one of these people that needs to make everything. So pizzas he'll make the dough, he'll make the tomato sauce. I'm surprised he doesn't milk a cow and make his own cheese and also make his own salami.
I'm actually looking at making my own mozzarella.
See? Are you going to make your own salami as well?
I might. No. Yeah. Nah. Don't go that far.
But no, they're really good pizzas.
But yeah, it's something that I know a lot of Bec knows how much of my life is photography. Pretty much 7 days a week from when I wake up till when 100%. I go to bed. And during COVID, because I need an excuse not to sit there and edit horrible video. Like try and make something good out of really bad filming, but we couldn't film, so I had to do whatever I had to do with what we had. I looked for that escape, and at night time I can't remember what I think chopped cheese was what started it.
Chopped cheese. If anyone's from New York listening to this, go to Harlem and get a chopped cheese, please.
Yeah, I can't. What hoagies or something like that. It's a famous place. If you look at Anthony Bourdain, COVID. Anthony Bourdain went there, and yeah, chopped cheese is just something. So a few people said it's like Philly steak. It's nothing like Philly steak. It is really, really special. But I sort of taught myself how to make it just by looking at some docos like Anthony Bourdain and things like that, and try to copy the best I could. And the first year we got over to the States after that, we had to go to the place, and I've got a little video on my phone of Bec actually taking the first mouthful. But because it was in Harlem, she thought she was going to die, so she was all scared.
Well, a tour guide had told me it's not safe there.
It was completely safe.
Well, I was told it wasn't. So
and the place just looks like this tiny little deli, nothing special.
It was so delicious.
And yeah, I just looked at Bec's face, and it was sort of like, it was pretty close to what I was making, wasn't it? So I was pretty happy with that. But then I got the bug, and everything had to go to next level, like hash browns. And
you haven't made hash browns in ages.
I know, I haven't made lots of things in ages.
We haven't had burgers in ages.
I have. You just haven't.
Not special enough.
Not special enough.
But no, cooking is like, well, if you guys watch our YouTube lives, you would have seen a few cooking ones that we've done. We both really love cooking, so we'll probably do some more talks about, I'm sure, as we keep raving, there'll be more talks about what cooking adventures
it might be a little bit, but it's having that break and having a little bit of a reset away from, I know, I didn't see it before, but I can definitely see I was getting very stale, and I see it in my own work that by just spending too much time in that little space, and especially when things weren't going to plan, like I couldn't shoot, all those things, it just got me not in a great headspace like a lot of people. But then the cooking gave me an out. COVID couldn't stop me from cooking, and
it's like you could go to restaurants anyway, so.
Couldn't go to restaurants and actually end up, I think I like my food better than most restaurants now, because I take the effort into getting it. I'm one of these fussy people, and if I can't do it right, I don't want to do it. So I just keep trying till I get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's a nice escape. It's therapeutic.
It's very therapeutic. And I think we all need that escape because...
Yeah, well, it's like you said, like if you're spending so much time editing photos that you're not in love with, or editing footage that's a pain in the butt to edit, we even had a conversation, and you said if you're trying to edit something and it's a pain in the butt, you find yourself getting distracted every 5 minutes and clicking off and going to Facebook and scrolling or going through it, and you just find yourself getting distracted.
I was looking for excuses to open up emails.
Yeah.
To see, they're in your email. Just so I didn't have to edit for that next 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's, look, I think, and I said, I know it sounds really bad, but COVID, I think, was a really good thing for me long term. It made me reevaluate where I am as an artist and where I am as a creator, rather than just being a button pushing thing that did stuff for all these people in these little boxes that needed stuff to fit their little box, which had no interest to me whatsoever than getting the lighting right and getting the model to do exactly what they want, that was part of the fun. But I look at the image and go, I don't like it.
It's just boring.
It's just boring. It's just a page flicker. And then it gets hard because when you do the images that you really like and then social media says, oh, you cannot put this up here or you cannot do this. And that gets really, really annoying. So more and more I'm going back to stuff I have control over. So I do have a blog, which I don't know, when I got time it gets dumped on a bit, and when I don't have time it gets ignored a bit. But the stuff on my blog is everything. Like I just put up anything I feel like, and it's stuff that I wouldn't put on Instagram and Facebook and so forth, because they're things I really enjoy, like unretouched, very simple lighting, or very just nothing lighting, very like the 1980s stuff that Mario did with Kate Moss. It's just a bit of natural light. There's no contrast. It's fairly flat, but there's a whole mood and feel to the pictures.
Exactly.
That book. There's a book behind me. So pretty much that.
Your head's heading away.
Yeah, my head in the way.
Yeah, there you go.
Anybody who can't see it, it's the if you look up Mario Testini.
We're probably saying it wrong.
Anyway, but that sort of look is something I love, and just completely unretouched, just as shot, as well as in the crazy stuff I do with people like Shay and Stefania and all those people who want an outlet to do the crazy stuff. I used to have that outlet. It was called magazines.
No, they don't exist anymore.
The magazines don't exist, and there's only the online magazines, and they've all gone woke. And
it's funny, speaking of magazines, it's like one of the things I feel you get asked quite a lot is photographers asking, well, how can I get into magazines? And your first answer is, when was the last time you bought a magazine?
It's I got spoiled for a good 10 years of my photography. It was pretty much, I'd say 70% of my money was editorial work. And that was great. It wasn't so, I didn't care that people could see it there. It was good paid work. And they did allow you to do artistic stuff, and you could bring a little bit of your own feel in there. If you get along with the art director would let you sort of run with it. So you had to always be friends with them. Now magazines aren't there. It's sort of like, in a lot of magazines you got to pay to be in them, which is...
Yeah, it's like even certain magazine covers, you've got to pay to get on the cover now.
Well, it's most of the magazines. We know a couple of the big models at the moment have paid for certain V-covered magazines.
Yes.
So things like that. And then there's a really cool sort of something bizarre.
Colours Bizarre?
No. Oh, I'm mixing up. Was it Dark Beauty? I think it's Dark Beauty. It's a magazine that's more on the gothic-y, dark side of things. You have to pay to even submit.
Really?
I think it's like $10, $20 or $30 to submit an image. And that's not just to submit it. It doesn't mean you're going to get in. So all of that stuff, it's... just ding. So from that side of things, But there's... As one door shuts, other doors open. You've just got to walk in the doors that are going to take you to where you want to finish, not just walk into the next door that opens or the door that's going to give you the most money, because it doesn't mean you're going to be happy in that door. There's certain doors I could have easily gone into, which I would have made bucket loads more money.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have been actually happy. So
no, I'd most likely never pick up a camera outside of work hours.
Which is why I guess like your new reset's been really awesome for you, and I've seen such a change. Like obviously things weren't good for a while during lockdown, but then I saw this massive shift in you, and I've continued to see that, and you just keep like shifting more in the place that you want to be in, and it's so awesome for me to see that in you. Yeah,
well, it's awesome for me to actually...
No, it's not awesome. It's really bad for you to be like happy.
I know.
Obviously, it's good for you.
No, but I mean, just not just for mental health and that side of things, but as a creator now, I look at things so different again.
Yeah.
So I used to look at the world different. Then I could only look at everything I hated in the world. Whereas now with my whole mindset, I don't need to hear or see the news.
Yeah, and I've even loved that because even that was a big thing when you said, when we were away, because we obviously didn't watch the news at all while we were away in Europe, and you said, when we go back, I'm not putting on the news in the morning anymore. I'm just going to listen to music because I haven't watched the news once while we've been away and I've felt so much better. And the second you said that, I was like, thank God, because it was bumming me out, me getting into work and the news being on, and then you'd overhear something and you'd turn around and yell at the TV and then you'd be in a snappy mood and then I'd say something and you'd be all like grumpy because of something that happened on the news. And I was like, I like this new Peter that doesn't listen to the news.
Yeah, it's not like, I wish I could just close my eyes and it goes away. It doesn't, but
yeah.
I can't make a change to what's happening in the world as a one single person. And so much of the news is fake news.
Yeah.
And that's why I'd get right up that completely fake one person's opinion with nothing to back up why they're saying what they're saying.
Yeah.
It just made me really annoyed that lots of people don't listen to it and believe it. That sort of annoyed me, but by turning that off, it just freed me up. So now I sort of look at Twitter a little bit more, but because I've got control over my Twitter and I've found lots of artists and that I can follow, the Instagram and Facebook, their feeds are just junk. So I don't have any interest in their feeds. I only follow a very small group of people, and I think all the people I follow, except one or two, I actually personally know.
Yeah.
But with Twitter, there's so many artists and that out there because Twitter is not, it doesn't have the, the censorship and that on there. So I can actually go back to seeing what I used to look at through Tumblr in the days. I used to look at all the behind the scenes fashion stuff before that got restricted. So that's given me a new outlet, and there is quite a few. There's a charcoal drawer that just blows me away. She draws on a little notepad.
I think you showed me.
Her charcoal, she would swear are black and white photos, and she sits on train just with the charcoal and the rubber and gets the most incredible cinema. And this is on a little notepad.
That's so cool.
It is so cool. And things like that really, really impress me. And I think it's opened up a lot of my eyes to getting back to the whole thing of creating visual art, as well as I love my sounds, and I do want to creep back in there so I can get myself some more time. But it's that visual art thing that it doesn't matter what it is. It just, if you can do something that stimulates somebody, that was it. Mm-hmm. And I think that other thing is after there was that one podcast that really, there's a whole group of things that happened very close to each other.
I think I know the time. Yeah.
Dave Bromley.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We were up there, I was watching this great painter paint and started to question in my head, why did he do that? Why? Because that's what he does. He wouldn't even think why he did it. That's just who he is and that's what he does. And it was another big lockdown that I knew was going to last a long time and going to be worse than our previous one. But that sort of coming out of that, David opened up my eyes, and a few other things that happened recently. And there was a podcast I listened to not long after it, Ben Crowe. It's not his podcast. It's on I think they're called The Imperfects. I'll put a link. We'll put a link in the notes.
Yeah, I've had to send it to a few people, so I'll have it somewhere. I can't remember what it was called though.
No, but the Ben Crowe interview, it was such a eye-opener because he only deals with athletes at the actual peak of their performance and just shows all the blockers they have in their way that aren't real blockers because they're worrying about things they have no control about. And then trying, just for anybody who's listening to this, is this delicate sounds of Bec pouring some purple worms into a glass.
If you're watching on YouTube, this is my favourite wine. I don't know what it's called, but I call it purple worms because the label is white with some purple worms on it. Anyways, sorry.
Anyway, and we've got a P plater out there who's just worked out at the gym and now he's working out on his accelerator pedal.
Anyway, sorry, you were saying Ben Crowe and stuff.
And it was just his incredible way of pointing out what is really important in life and what are all the things we get hung up that aren't important at all. And one of the big things he did say was, we all set these goals, and you get hit by a car tomorrow, you never achieve that goal. Well, it's not a way to live where you're always going to die with unachieved goals. But if you work out what your purpose in life is, you wake up every morning and there's your purpose for the day. You don't have to achieve anything, just live by your purpose for being there. And that really, because it took me half a day of really thinking, what is my friggin' purpose? You know, why do I get up in the morning? And actually really it dawned on me, really, it's pretty simple. I just want to inspire people with photography and photos and imagery. And that might be through our workshops, through our Inspire webpage, or just through my work. And I can wake up every day, I already know what I want to do. Create something to inspire people who are into photography or visuals, or inspire them to go out and take better photos.
Yeah.
Inspire models to not have all these hang-ups about what they think, and get them to realise that it doesn't really matter what's on the outside if you can get the inside right. And there was a book, I can't remember the name of it, it was about traditionally not attractive people. And it's got some of the most beautiful photos in the world of these traditionally not attractive people. And then you actually see that, beauty is on the inside. It's just a matter of getting it to come out through all of their own hang-ups.
I've heard you talk about that podcast and this whole like goal versus purpose thing, and I've been thinking about it myself, and honestly feel like, because I've been thinking, I was like, well, crap, like what's mine? Like what is my purpose? And I think mine, I guess, is to just help someone, I guess, feel better or make their life easier. Just help out, whether it's making someone smile. If I'm going to make someone's day better, whether I make them smile, whether I help them with something, just, you know, just
see, that's all your purpose needs to be, though. It doesn't need to be any big picture.
Yeah, whether it's like, I don't know, helping you with being your assistant, or like giving my mum a call every night to make my mum's day, or cooking Jared dinner every night. Like just something that makes someone's day a little bit easier. That makes me feel a little bit more fulfilled that I've made someone's day a little bit brighter. And that's my purpose, is to just brighten someone's day every day.
I would have thought it was, your main purpose was to keep wineries in business.
That's my goal.
I thought your goal was to actually own wineries so you didn't have to buy it anymore.
Oh, that would be... No, that's too much effort. I'd rather help other businesses. See, I want to help. I just want to help. I just want to brighten people's lives.
Yeah.
That's my purpose, is to brighten lives.
Right, so then
Need a little touch of colour in your black and white world.
Yeah, you're the only one that makes me shoot colour. Sorry about that. Whenever you see a colour picture, Bec made me do it.
It's nice.
It's nice.
It's nice. It's colourful.
Well, the last one in Frankfurt, you didn't convert me there. I did you a colour one, but I had to do the black and white for me.
I know. It wasn't my favourite photo anyways. So.
Oh, wasn't it?
No.
Oh.
That's all right, though.
It's all right.
I really like my Paris one. Actually, I'm hanging for the Eiffel Tower one. Just by the way. It's just my favourite ones won't be your favourite ones. That's okay. You can do one for me.
All right.
Thank you.
Because you made me shoot portrait.
Yeah. That's because you're my assistant.
I look at it and have troubles. Have lots of troubles.
That's all right. I'll edit it then.
It's all right, I can edit.
You've seen me editing. I'm really good at editing.
Yeah, I've seen you Facetune.
I don't Facetune, guys. It's 100% me all the time.
All the time.
That's what I really look like.
I even think every now and then she might slightly retouch one of my edited pictures.
I think I've done that like twice.
Like twice?
I honestly, like, hand on my heart, I think I've done it twice.
At least you don't put filters over them.
No, that's rude.
Oh, that's rude.
Yeah, actually, no, I was gonna say something, but I'm not going to say it. I know this is supposed to be unfiltered, Bec, but I won't go there. I can be pretty savage. I'm sure Savage Bec is going to come out over these podcasts.
I don't have to mention people's names.
Oh, no,
it
was
story.
Savage.
It was savage.
It was savage.
Was it about something that's happened?
Yeah, I
won't go anywhere.
Everyone thinks I'm so nice and sweet, but
Yeah, no, you know nothing. In fact, Morning Bec, you've seen nothing until you see Morning Bec.
maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do a podcast in the morning.
I don't know if anybody. I think I'm the only person in the world that can put. Jared, obviously.
Jared can. My mum can.
Oh, your mum would give Morning Bec. She'd just ignore you.
Yeah, she had to tell because Brooke was a very morning person as well, and Mum knows the rule: do not speak to Bec until she's at least had a cup of coffee. And I'd get out of bed and Brooke would be like, "Oh my God, good morning," and I would turn around, snap, and then Brooke would crack it. Mum's like, "I told you the rule: don't speak to her. She hasn't had a cup of coffee. Once she's had a coffee, you can speak to her."
Why do you think the first thing you do when you get to the office is I'm making coffee when I hear your car pull up?
I need coffee. Don't speak to me. We should do that. That'd be funny.
Yes, we could try that. But I just pre-warned, end of podcast. We're going to stick by this. As soon as that alarm goes off, no matter what we're talking about, that's the end. So I hope you enjoyed our first one, and we'll see you for the next one.
Bye, guys. Hey, bye, guys is different to hi, guys.